Okay, Fambulem, I bring warm greetings to Una from the TNN TV media empire, TNN TV. Me where they talk to Una today, the 18th of May, 2022. My name Prince Emil Koma. So first of all, apologies, and I saw this business time. When you're on the high note, you get technical problem, no one forgives you for that. So we'll be not begin the build up with almost 20 people, and that's just the build up to the program, not even the intro. And then because of technical problem, we get for revert and then come back after trying to resolve it. But very important again today is a massive program where we get where we want to talk about issues we get for do with we country. And forgive me voice. Obviously, this is hay fever time while some people enjoy the sunshine or summertime, some can call them. Now the time can they hide from them and need some cool place, aircon, or just cool place. So, but I don't care how much I hide. It can just minimize the effect of the hay fever. So I've got a runny nose and a funny voice. But that should not stop you from hearing me. And I believe that you're hearing me live and direct. So today, as soon as I can see the title, and I promise when I again say it's going to be a short one, not very long, but precise, concise, and to the point. We live in precarious times. We live in critical times in our country. And as elections they approach, we are beginning to hear all kinds of stories. Some of the stories they're not to foresee we don't want to hear them all. We don't hear them, but then they come in different versions. In other words, there are people with the intent, namely politicians, we waiting and want to do to we not for fool we. But we they pan this business here, whether not journalist, whether not formal, informal, whether not social media, whether not pundits, analyst, you name it, there is an obligation, morally speaking, professionally speaking, that you get for go by. And this is what we try for doing on this particular platform, Fambulen. So let's get on with it. Anyway, you see the title we put now in with the talk to tonight, and we want to talk directly to the Sierra Leonean people, and with a kindly appeal to all man for help we for share this video so other Sierra Leoneans then go hear we equally. Wanna see identity politics will go try for define and then try for put them into context in terms of this particular broadcast we get tonight. So please, ladies and gentlemen, take note of that and let we move forward. So not very long ago, if you would like, we had an election of some sort. I just did try to get to the main page of Usai with the broadcast. So not only preview no more I go to see, I go also to see the live broadcast. So forgive me if I try to do please try. We had an election. We want more people into the platform. Anyway, not very long ago, we had an election shaping the direction in which a people want to go. So there were many people, many things. In fact, if we should go by the record, we go see now the vast majority of the people, at least the one that we exercise the franchise as given to them by the Constitution of the Republic, the civic duty, and just basically the human rights. So waiting can happen is election time reach, and people let me get for make a decision prior to the election. Of course, there's this campaign period in which various parties they sell themselves to the people of the republic for sure. Say, well, we go to be the person and we go able for change the cause of our lives. So this is what the problem really boiled down to at the time. It became a conversation that I won. At least we were having a conversation then, unlike now, which I will get to. And then it also became an issue in which many people were interested, but at least a case was being made to the Sierra Leonean people as to how to go forward with this particular period in time. Very important called elections. So during these elections, the All People's Congress, we've been in power, of course, had lost the confidence of the people. At least we can say this now because we get the benefit of hindsight as they were voted out of power. The coming in leadership of retired Brigadier Julius Maada prior to him coming into power, made a case to the Sierra Leonean people, which, by all intent and purposes, resonated with the people of Sierra Leone. If you can go by the voting data, which showed that he had the majority, whether slim or what have you, as people go on for describe him. But it's important that the objective which he set out to win was accomplished. So anyway, his case that he made to the Sierra Leonean people was that we, the Sierra Leonean people, him being part of the Sierra Leonean people, these were no foreigners speaking, the party in power, which then was the All People's Congress, don't feel the people of the country. The direction in which they were heading the country was uncalled for, was destructive in many respects. And as a consequence of them messages that they where the BO candidate BO put out then, it seemed like it resonated with the people very well. During the period, we see a massive turnout of people, and this is during campaign period, by the way, in which songs, they sing them, will not be look very well for the All People's Congress. Then one day we believe in signs and wonders. You can be a religious person, but you can believe in signs and wonders. There's nothing wrong with that. Because even biblically speaking, then things that they've been happening during biblical times. Signs and wonders, God been to reveal things then to people eye. And that they definitely go interpret or became God's servant to them. So we see people then begin for sing. Angry Bokuya na be one. Tolumbo no go sidonya. For those of us, because everyone I'm speaking to tonight, now and subsequently, they do understand these slogans. Tolumbo is a slogan by the All People's Congress, effectively now in opposition. And then Angry Bokuya, again, are they flow in and out of English? Because sometimes and most times, because we platform is international, we get a lot of people who are non-speaking Creole people we, of course, they tune into we platform and can like for ye what we talk about. They get interest. So Tolombo no go sidoya, Angry Boku, that the previous government of all People's Congress led by Ernest Bai Koroma. So such was the feeling of the people that they went out en masse and begin for sing there. Angry Boku. That means there is so much hunger that the people responsible directly, the fingers were being pointed at the All People's Congress. And because the case way candidate Bio, now President Bio, then made, he resonated with the people and very well so, which prompted them that then sing then day. So anyway, for fast track them all because we can go on and on and on, but waiting we and by Koroma and in All People's Congress, of course, by constitutional mandate, he never had any legitimacy for standing, but he been a supported candidate which they broadly nominated. Where right now an issue of crisis. Of course, that crisis has been trying to be resolved. One of nomination through democratic means or selection through undemocratic means. They've been in court in and out, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today, we talk about identity politics and whether President Bio they run a kleptocracy. This is exactly waiting at the event tonight where we want to talk about. So as they say, we get the benefit of hindsight. President Bio make that statement and that statement and they happen for resonate very well with the people of Salon. And in call or jargon or phrase or political message where it's saying seemed to have been very, very powerful, which was the country needed a new direction. And what a new direction mean within the context of what he been talk about was the way how the country been go, the direction in which the was totally uncalled for. And therefore the country need a new direction, a direction different from the old. To many people, and let me create a quick background, which I should have done anyway, on candidate Bio then and President Bio now. This was a man back in 1996 who led a palace coup against his friend and army colleague. That's the former military leader, the youngest in Africa. President now Bio was part and parcel of that coup plot which led them into power. The army mutinied against the then incompetent government of President Joseph. Sorry, the J word. Into the army led by Captain Strasser. Participating was Julius Maada Bio and many other young officers of the red. A couple of them are now scattered all over the world. So there are many people where still they are alive today, waking let we know exactly what may happen then. So anyway, having said this, for go forward, retired Brigadier Julius Maada people and Salon people love the idea. So as a consequence of that, they vote him in as the new Sierra Leonean president. They vote retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio as the new Sierra Leonean president. So, in other words, the people of Salone give him a mandate, a 5-year mandate. But like I say, I've been trying for creative background. We talk about a military coup because he was part and parcel of a military coup. We overthrew the then civilian government of Joseph Saidu Momo, and then they became the leaders of the new republic under Valentine M. Strasser, the youngest head of state then. But then President Bio began for lead a palace coup in which he accused informer boss, Captain Valentine Strasser, of trying to maneuver the situation so that instead of living up to the promises that they made to the Sierra Leonean people, that after all, it will be a matter of time that they go left power and give power up to the people, whoever the people choose. Yet there were attempts behind the scenes. Valentine Strasser into power as a civilian. It was reminiscent and very, very much so the status quo of the time. There were rampant military coups all around Africa, and the people that were in the takeover, all they need for doing are for go inside barracks with the uniform ceremonially and come back and do with a civilian clothes for tell the public that, well, we don't go left that uniform inside and that will be make with military, where we cannot do so. All we are now, we are civilian just like Una, and we want stand because we want to take this country into a new direction. So President Bio, according to what he say, was seriously opposed to that. So as a consequence of what we were told, see them in a plan on the inside, he then led a palace coup, which was successful, and he ended up for overthrow in friend and comrade in Valentine M. Strasser, and he subsequently became the leader. Leadership they wasn't to last very long. That leadership they last for apparently 3 months, if not. And this is almost the equivalent, not in every case, of where you get a new job and we'll get to look into that probation period a day and see how successful or whether successful you are for letting offer you the job for which you are going through a probationary period. So this was President B. For 3 months. He led this army government, and then at some point he began for give that new coming government where eventually They make people and they say, well, President Bio could be the father of democracy. And I believe, say, earlier on in my career, I've attested to that saying that he's the father of democracy. I do have a different view now, which is at least I could have made a comparative analysis to the late President Momo. But that's how I was looking at things. Because after all, President Momo happens, in my own opinion, at this point in time, for being one of the most humble presidents ever, not only in Sierra Leone, but Africa as a whole during that period, in contemporary times. I know they talk about back then, because back then, of course, there were many leaders who were very humble and true to them people. Such were the Kwame Osajifo Nkrumahs, the Julius teacher Walimu Nyerere, and the Z Jomo Kenyatta's, and a few others, long before President Momo. So President Momo in government did fail woefully, but he may still get the humility for stand before the Sierra Leonean people and confess. This is why his place in the history of the country as president, then we don't rule that country, is etched in gold, and it is forever. And I don't think anybody go able to take that away from him. He come to the Sierra Leonean people, he confess. That's humility. That's the height of humility, because remember, he was the head of state. He had no business doing that like other arrogant one them, or some that we know now who will never do that for a test or agree to the failure them. But he did. He apologized to the Sierra Leonean people, told them, I'm sorry. I not be able to live up to the expectations as to how una been expect. Unfortunately, this is the situation. I have failed, and I apologize to una profusely, profoundly. Please forgive me. And I'm sure a lot of Sierra Leoneans, except you get bad at, they've forgiven him. Because which head of state will have done that? How many head of states will have done that? Not very many. And we'll get the benefit of history as well. Not very many. However, he introduced multi-party democracy. It bring about constitutional law we mandate multi-party for let begin practice, because remember say the time we inherit power, and largely during the administration, it was a one-party government. It look into RAM and say, you know what, this is not necessary any longer. What we now need for do is for move beyond this point, because after all, and I believe, and I'm paraphrasing him, this has not worked for the Sierra Leonean people. So as a consequence of this, why not try something different, something new? And probably he had a premonition that time wasn't in his favor. So he began for enacting differences than day. And even though during the process he was overthrown, but at least he did initiate the process. And for that, you cannot blot out that part in history. Whenever this process that we find ourselves in which we have celebrated, I believe, 5 democratic elections over a period of over almost 3 decades, the former president of the republic, a former military commander, or the first commander of the Sierra Leone army, Brigadier Joseph Saidu Momo, will always be mentioned. However, we talk about the now. So President Bio now overthrew that government and did it for 3 months. During the 3 months, then the way he did it, arrangements were made because the country been there at war. A nasty civil war that decimated with population. We're lucky because if we make a comparative analysis to other countries, of course, we numbers minute, but for lost 50 to 80,000 of you people, it's no small feat by itself. Just that when you make comparative analysis, typical example to Rwanda, who lost close to 1 million people in just a few months, probably the duration of President Bio's head of stateship, then that's massive. And that's under waiting we suffer. We suffer 75,000, according to some estimates and serious estimates. But even neighboring Liberia, of course, they fought a different kind of a war, which is one of the nastiest, a tribal war. They lost over 250,000 people, and some people even put that number there very high. And I was there then when this fete been happen. I see a couple of them fete then they 2, 3, 4, 5 different fete then where they fete day. Okay. always a victim of the infection. They got friends scattered all over the world. That's why when people try to make a mockery of themselves as being a rebel and join this and join that, they're just comical because there are people, thank God, who are still alive who knows the story. And if it were the other, I wouldn't be on public media and making these stories and saying things to the contrary. But that's not what we're talking about tonight. We talk about identity politics and how it affect we and whether President Bio they run a kleptocracy. Ladies and gentlemen, today the 18th is a Wednesday of May 2022. Me now a host and presenter on the TNN TV media empire on a friendly news channel, the People's Channel. Forget factual news, undiluted, straight, but very, very objective. I am Prince Emil Krumah. Yeah, on a we shape. We got a few videos for Shona because this is what we do. We base we argument on evidence, not just talk, not just plucking things from the air, not being deluded or whichever way people want to put up. Okay. So when President Bio make this announcement of a new direction, a lot of people fell for it. They agreed. And why would they agree? The simple answer go be because they don't agree with the direction where the country been they go then. So when somebody else come and make an appeal to them, say, "Una know wetin? This way, the way how the country really need for take or make a decision, or una join me because me aim and object." And the people listen because after all, there was an election. So they were reasoning Julius Maada bill will definitely change the course of the direction of state or the state in which the country was going. Elections, as most of us go and say, was fraudulent because some of us do say that the elections was won based on fraud or a give. If we for lay this argument aside, then at least the people who voted out the APC we usher in the SLPP stroke power on the basis of steering the country into something different could be right, must be right. And these people were not foreigners. These people are citizens just like me and you. People like me and are tasked with the responsibility, and there are many of us tasked with the responsibility of understanding waiting they go on through observation. How will they observe things as then they go on? And it is also a constitutional and civic duty, of course, I almost always mention this, that for bring the knowledge of waiting with the observe objectively to the electorate. It's a constitutional and civic obligation. And that's what we've been doing for a number of years now. It is true that not everybody agree, but they haven't presented evidence on the contrary, which puts me in a position for me calling this program, yeah, or the title, Identity Politics. Is President Bio running a kleptocracy? Identity politics, I will attempt for define later on, but I want to let Fambule also understand why people and they point fingers at people like us. What are we saying? What is wrong with what we are saying or I am saying? What really are they say way wrong? Is it the way I say it? Or is it wrong? No one has really challenged me because sometimes I put a challenge out there. You tell me what I'm saying wrong. Have I said something wrong? And the answer is almost always no. It's not like you said something wrong. So what is it? So identity politics probably will be shortly. Let's say think to of government. By for do as per me being critical of government, where I go in depth, but later into this program, is it is a necessity that not everybody has to support the government, especially in things they wouldn't know they do right. That's what I mean. The government is ours. It does not belong to one set of people. It is everyone's government. We all now we get the government. But if the government they do something we're absolutely not right, and we put it out there, it is the duty of the citizenry for scrutinize those arguments that we are putting out there. Let us have a conversation around it as decent and civilized Sierra Leoneans them and see, is it right or is it wrong? If it is wrong, what can we do to right it? Because after all, the reason why we are being critical is to bring the attention of government to these issues so that we can have a conversation around it. Say, Papa President, Papa Government, it is not going the right way. Can we then streamline our efforts that we are making towards probably in good faith for steer the country into a right direction and probably a genuine mistake and bring and come back on center stage, recalibrate the idea, whether the policies, look back into the policies and say, it's not playing out right for we the people. So let we look into it again and let we redirect them. Because after all, this is what President Bio promised we, a new direction. A new direction means there is an old direction. That old direction, well, we now know say the old direction will be right if we just look at the way our people vote. I am not here to create fallacies. Oh, you know it in, yeah, na foreign governments and I help we geopolitically speaking. I get me arguments them privately. Of course, some of these arguments I can make publicly as long as I'm able to back them up geopolitically. We country traditionally is twin at the backside with the English West and what have you. And now we say with a drift towards the east, which is China, and that's not going down well. So therefore we need for drift back. And for drift back, because we are far gone, the only thing that can happen is regime change. And regime change is real. I've been get argument with one of me good buddy. We can get this back and forth. Can call me the money where they can work, and yeah, I'm bored. And I love a good argument. Some people still don't understand this, and we will go back and forth. And he actually thought that there is no thing like regime change, that the people don't actually physically change regime but still not understand say there's a possibility in manipulating the system using a system of sanctions and embargo and indirect and direct threats and soft power. You see, you have to understand international relations and have read a lot of historical yeah, stuff about world affairs for let you understand all of these things. Probably not all of it, but for understand them in depth. So anyway, having said this, the duty they upon people like we, when we observe something from an objective point of view, we bring and come to we people. That are the onus, that are the responsibility, that are the obligation. Because we do know sometimes with domestic press, it's not going to bring these things out like the way we say it because we are on the outside for several reasons, and I can name a few. Either you are associated, affiliated, or aligned with the government within a power. Either you are receiving packages and you are kind of friendly towards the government, which all brings us to identity politics, or you are simply being coerced, threatened, and in many different ways, we will make you scared for your own existence and life. Because remember, say the owners of life itself, not existence. All the thing they will do now about something, if you feel threatened, if you're able to kill them, if that thing they want kill them, just for let you survive. They'll be part for equally do the same. Now let's go on and understand what is identity politics and how identity politics they plague we, the Sierra Leoneans, them. Ladies and gentlemen, as defined, identity politics na a kind of a particular politics with a play ethnicity or a particular ethnic group. It not necessarily get for be an ethnic. It can just be a group of people, a grouping. It can be gender based, maybe man de normal, or even woman de normal. Just decide, say, we go organize ourselves around a particular interest. So imagine how you disadvantage others, because most likely Now, one set of group of people we feel say for a particular special interest, they can disadvantage others for the sole purpose of promoting their own interest. And whilst they promote that interest, they not give a damn. They not get any recognition. They not really care. They not get any regard for any other group, probably even larger than them, because it can be a minute group. But that minute group, they can be powerful. But like I say, we can define it in only such ways for in a Sierra Leonean context, identity politics is that of a particular group of people, most likely ethnically connected, way politically around that particular special interest, around motivation, their sole purpose, now for promote that the interest they or the interest with the parties. Remember, now something that they rotate around. They are in the periphery. They rotate around and either physically they promote them through many different means, but the idea they are attracted to it. And in this case, ethnically speaking, region at the compromise, the detriment of we think they happen. To group of people that are rotating interest, and I mean them. Do your background research, do your fact check. There are not many, as identity politics go point to. There are a few, but very, very powerful. This is exactly what they are doing. Then they rotate around that special interest. They now get concern or regard the greater majority of people. Okay? We, the collective, we, the greater. So waiting and on resort to doing is like provoking. It's like becoming agent provocateur. That's a French word. Agents of provocation. Smear, character assassination, we I go come to again later on pan this particular conversation. But like I say, is because we need to prove a few things because we live in almost Orwellian times. Those of us who have read the literary works of George Orwell, we brilliant work done decades and decades ago, but still get effect in the land that we live in today, in the world that we're living in today, in which people then try for live in a delusional world, but will accuse others of being delusional, in which you challenge the status quo for not being right, and they will point fingers in reverse at you for you not being right and they've been right. In all of this, it could be true that they are right and you are wrong. The difference here is there's an evidence in between. And the way how you know who are right and who are wrong. Now, who no one go for the body of evidence. Let's take a look in the first place at First Lady Fatima Bio in video.
Now, right now, they tell we say, fear no day. I say, SLP, other SLP will not get fear. That's what they say. And see, but we all know say, now the whole country, the whole world right now, now they never suffer for fear business. Because of the war with Russia. But like you know this information, what you tell me, some of you are not sabi. Do you know? Then they say fear no day. And through me fear no day. You know why fear no day? Because all the petrol stations then APC gets them. And they get all the petrol stations then. So when they want ESFPP bad name, then they lock the petrol stations then, they say fear no day. If you make a country, no they make play people and suffer, even when they're in opposition. So here, anytime when they tell you that say fear no day, when I tell them say when I open
Okay, Famulem. I mean, this is and things that we will talk about how they can try for mix up box up we as if we are idiots, and of course some might be idiots, some might be supporting just on the basis of ideology, but generally it's like waiting and about Sierra Leonean people. We are supposed to be a smart people. Like I said, I don't come of age now, and maybe the younger population, and another fault them in a sense because I haven't assessed and analyzed their mental capacity. But I do certainly want believe, probably even on the basis of biasness, that they are very smart, just like how we've been younger, we've been smart because we were taught our civic duties and we were able to distinguish between wrong and right and left and right. The first lady is being very disingenuous here. So it's either, I mean, let's talk about choices of binary, either or. At one moment, the first lady, they say, the cause of petroleum shortage is as a consequence of the war between the Ukraine and Russia. Now, this could very well be the case. But because at the same within the same vein, no one accepts that this could be the cause, and just make that case there to the Sierra Leonean people and left and put. He also try for put into that mix there for say, una no meno, yes, na so. But the other reason, whilst there is a shortage of petrol and petroleum products, now, because the opposition party, All People's Congress, now they own all the petrol stations. So therefore, they are holding and depriving, undermining, which is amounting to economic sabotage. And this is what I don't understand, because if you know all of that, then you can use that to your advantage, because now you didn't power but I left down there for another day. But you able for introduce down there to you listening public. Of course, they feel the way they listen to you, where they battle you. Because to me, I mean, I get a bit confused there because now two different messages them, and it's intentionally being done, in my opinion, for confuse the people. Well, we get scarcity or shortage of petrol because the government of Russia attacked the government of Ukraine. So there's a war going on, and that area, the USA, is being attacked. They're responsible for the production of oil and gas to this level, and because now they will only survive. So therefore, this is the consequence that we are suffering. But at some point now, it turn on political so that people like can blame the other side. Say, well, no man, no, now they're still responsible for waiting they happen. Then get them petrol station, then they lock the petrol station then up, then they open them just for give it bad name. And there's another point again what I'm making, waiting the first lady say. It amounts to inciting. Did you hear her mention if you see NP petrol station in statement, I will take and say the NP petrol station belong to members or member of the opposition party, or they get some stake there. So that's clear incitement. See, if you see NP petrol station, I'm not gonna go further, but just we are trying to bring to the Sierra Leonean people for there and be smart up. Don't be used. The Ukraine crisis is contributing to the plummeting um, life standard, or the standard of life or living, but it's certainly a contributing factor. The scarcity of petrol and petroleum, the war in Ukraine, is also a contributing factor to that. But when people like the first lady they speak, where the first lady, in many, then they fault them because if you can't away. But of course, that's the choice that she's taken. And this to me sounds like a choice of desperation, because you can see in the utterances of imposition what she's trying to say in the way I will think between X and Y, red and green, the Sierra Leonean people. And as a mother of the nation, she should sound more uniting. That's why prior to this administration, all first lady a political notion or position opinion, this first lady, I believe, say they forget for note in which she's taken a position, clearly a position, and that position there is divisive because the country is divided. As a mother, the Paupa people, you are the mother of a nation, 7.5 million people. Waiting you say, it has to be carefully said. Now, it make you get a team then where they manage you, not to just wait till you want to talk, but you don't particularly choose for be very, very not apolitical, being very political with a capital P. That's what this first lady is. She's in the making of policies that determines the future of the country, regardless of how divisive, corrosive, and you name it. These policies are. She's right in the middle. Now, one night we just hear Iso. No, First Lady Mion should be ground. You get a very strong. So how then can you be the best First Lady as some people will always be this, and not everybody get for be with you for you, even if you take a neutral position. The way how you comport yourself in the eyes of the public is you're going to have many on your side. So in a 50-50, you're going to have more 51, 70, 80 on your side, the way how you comport yourself. But you become actively involved in the politics of the country. I mean, the wife of the care of feed them well so that a mindset is focused on running the nation, but you yourself don't become a participant in this divisiveness na we country. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to play on another tape. Yeah, it's just a short
people
one.
want change. The people are tired of the suffering of paying for a bag of rice at 200,000 from only 60,000 in 2007. The people want democratic change to end their suffering. But what type of change do we want for this great nation? What type of change do we want for our children's future? What type of change?
That's another one, Famulem. This was candidate Julius Maada PO making a good case to the people of the country, and here lies the disingenuity of certain people. And this is ongoing, and some people know far better than this, but they can always try to make the argument because their sole purpose and intent now for muddy the waters, keep people brainwashed, which is part of the disinformation and misinformation and propagandistic campaign that is ongoing, which I find really unfair to the Sierra Leonean people. So that was the president then. I they played this again because I noticed another 10 people just don't join. And remember, say the numbers are low though. I think we get 70 some more, about 80 people, but we broadcast them simultaneously to two platforms, YouTube and Facebook, so we can equally shape that. So we got 40 on each, or maybe one over the other. And I mean, the ask family, we help for shape as well. There's a necessity for bring people and come on. Don't listen because we know say we get few of we brothers and sisters who are listening but has no intention to share because we don't want other people in here. This is unfair. So even if you oppose, diametrically opposed to me, because you find my analysis, you're funny, biased, and what have you, why not bring more people of yours into the campaign, into the broadcast, so that they understand exactly where I'm coming from, even though they wouldn't agree with me, but the conversation will increase. I'll play the president, then candidate BO one more time.
We now generate sufficient electricity. People want change. The people are tired of the suffering of paying for a bag of rice at 200,000 from only 60,000 in 2007. The people want democratic change to end their suffering. But what type of change do we want for this great nation? What type of change do we want for our children's future? What type of change?
So I think say, but this will come to haunt him a few years on. So then questions they will be asked, we need to put them into perspective. So if we are to be real, if we are going to be fair as Sierra Leone perspective, and I say this because some of the leading campaign, they know better than this, but in, that's one of the arguments he made then. 4 years into his administration, we will come to shortly, between domestically driven food or rice, when we staple food, and the rice where we they import, and the differences in price. But that was the case the then president made. So let me go back into this. Let we begin to understand few things. Now we don't understand identity politics and where will it come from. And we will also get to go back into identity politics at some stage in this conversation. We not get much time, yeah, because this audio video them, we try to make them short so that people when they come on work, at least they will able to follow, not can listen to 3 hour, 2 hours video. At least 1 hour, even though we don't go over the 1 hour mark, but I go try for hurry things along. Um, President go do will be forget, or not even all what he do. Some of what he not do, we go forget. And even as I speak now, some of the promises that he made has been forgotten. There is a focus on the real one. Them. Okay, but mostly some of goods and services, food, and now price of basic comes dip and fly. And why? I put out a tweet. I think first thing this morning or this afternoon regarding inflation rate and the reckless approach to the economy, reckless spending, rampant corruption. Yeah, because we can refer ourselves to the audit report and we'll understand why. We can look at the wage bill on this made. Them be symbolic. And the reason why I make them, and probably, again, like I say, if we go back to the manifesto and outside of the manifesto, so some of them are documented, you find them in black and white. Some of them are just word of mouth. Now, for example, the Lunge Bridge and many others. But these were symbolic. And the reason why he will have done that is now for appease voters them, especially people them way loyal to him, and people them who are not loyal to him, so that when I go vote for me. People do this all around the globe. People, when they aspire for public office, they make lofty promises. In the end, most of them are symbolic. So some of what President Bio don't do, we get forget profound effect but we politics and we social fabric and we economics and we politics. Let us not ever forget is the Independence Day speech where the president gave. And they talk about we 61st Independence Day speech where we president gave. I don't think say I get a video to that effect because I've been really to try for download a video to that effect, but I don't get, let's be honest about it. But we can talk about the Independence Day speech Verbally, we can talk about them. So some of what the president say is it talk about a few things with Nana Independence Day speech. COVID-19, very critical, very important. Talk about energy, light, petrol, and the consequences. Very, very important. In everything with the presidency, from infrastructure. Remember, my bank bridge, my Bailey bridge, society and with social life, how would you get on, cultural change, agriculture and subsistence and mechanized farming, where the person talk about, the tractor, and I think 100 of them where they be bring, Toma bomb, the prices of local and imported rice, which I talk about, their farm, many of them, where, and that involves the and we come on in farm, we get some insignia for separate them from the others. But we dey talk about sustainable things. Not if I go pull 6 bag rest now your farm, we go last for only 1 month or 3 months or serve not even a quarter of your population or help towards the president in program. We dey talk about sustainability, not PR. Because most of it sound like public relations campaign. And we know say chief minister, now foreign minister, is very good at that. When he was the chief minister, he orchestrated many of them public relation campaign there, spend lofty amounts of money internally, externally, using NGOs, and then your international organizations for organize them thing. So the president talk about all of this. We look and food security. And we look at the man with the head doctor in parentheses or in inverted commas, but at least in inverted commas because there's question about the doctorate, and I believe say then the ADAE say you don't abandon that doctorate. It mean you not been saying a doctor that people have begin calling that effect, including in official capacity on the official Ministry of Agriculture. I don't know whether they don't take them down today, but yesterday, day before yesterday, when I check under the official position culture and food security, he was still referred to as a doctor. And I posted on site yesterday, and somebody was upset. But why shouldn't I? It's no secret. This is a public official, our minister of peace. No. Did he put the doctor? Did someone else put the doctor title there? Because the reason why we say now we're not for make them public is because there's question mark around the doctor title within in business card or common. You see the thing why they talk about identity politics? And if you check that person, they will be to make that argument, or those persons who were making that argument, definitely supportive. Either on that basis, they protect a certain interest at the peril, okay, of a larger group. And then they even give consideration to the larger group. That's why it is. So I want to talk a little bit about a few of these things, and I not even end about the president in independence, 61st independence, farming, about our society, also education about because now the president in flagship program quality education. So I'm going to talk about that as well in terms of what matter most in the terms of the changes that Matter Bill is making. Members say it make fundamental changes to our society. If those fundamental changes are going to be beneficial to us as a people, short term, long term, then good. But one look at whether na short term or long term, or probably we go get for do another program in that regard, not too long. And we started late, and I mean 10, 15 more minutes because even a longer we want to do an hour, but the target now an hour and 30 minutes. So let's see whether we can again the changing of culture and we habits with judiciary, with parliament. how dangerous these institutions of state work in the interest of Sierra Leonean people. Interest of Sierra Leonean people. We look at the of Mohammed Kamarimba Mansari, who is now, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many other Sierra Leoneans, now effectively a political prisoner. I mean, the judiciary, a judge granted bail. Probably you didn't hear me one more time. Back and forth, a musical chair game that the secretary is then became the agent provocateur, saying documents, yeah, not be. A judge granted a bail, and we're hearing talks around. He is not a bona fide Sierra Leonean, or was that the case? Or a need for presenting Sierra Leonean passport, and with the suspect saying American, and the possibility of fleeing. And this is a bailable offense, by the way. But they've made all kind of hoo-ha around this particular case. And why? I said it from day one. I argued with many friends and told them that this was political. They said no, that this is the crime that he committed. And in that country, we say again, a man is innocent until proven guilty. 3 years on, this man has not been proven guilty, but he's still serving a sentence in jail. You tell me, what is that? If this is not abuse of human right, I wonder what this is. Anyway, going on, this is not how some of we life and culture is being changed. We expect, there's a huge expectation from the in the interest of all Sierra Leoneans. At least this was a line in his inauguration day speech, that I will govern for all Sierra Leoneans, not just one section of Sierra Leoneans. But 4 years on, I am not going to 4 years based on that promise with something which is but all we see now, Fambulem, is identity politics. I mean, I don't want to make judgment, but again, because I mean, say we go look at identity politics again, contextually speaking. I mean, always we don't say look at identity politics. We define them, and here we are. Is it not what we are seeing based on the definition where we finding it difficult to ever say this word publicly? But as I go forward, with my true self, in rendering my my feelings, my patriotism to Sierra Leonean people, I find it difficult not to mention synonym, if you will like, for this word, or euphemism for softening, because it's so toxic. But we're reaching a point where a spade will have to be called a spade. And what is it? It is, again, on the basis of this identity politics what we talk about, in which largely the people around the president, I don't need to say this, but do your homework. Where do they come from? Who do they belong to? Regionally, tribally. Question again, who side them come out? Who do they belong to in a tribal and regional faction? Just look at it. Like I said, I don't try to avoid this, and I have no intention for provoke such a thing, but where objectivity lies, and this is what the problem is between me and them. What I say is backed up by facts. What they say is plucking, forgery, fakery from thin air, things, and then not able to substantiate anything, any claim to. Not even in a circumstantial sense, before I talk about physical forensic, if we can use that strong sort of evidence potential. But just look at who surrounds the president. See who makes up largely his cabinet, his inner making. And you come back and tell the Sierra Leonean people who they are. So we now know that say that this president is ruling on the basis in ruling elite. They talk about side, people. And I know they say this for demean anybody because according to the constitution, no one Sierra Leonean is greater, more powerful, more exceptional than the other. We are all equally equal. But when I say this in terms of appointments, job descriptions, job appointments, and ranking order, you will see within that elite of elite, who are they? Now, who are them? You come back and tell the public who are they. So identity politics is rife. Largely what we see now tribal kinsmen or people who have been loyal to this president, and I'm not making this up, for the past 22 years, where he been there in the United Kingdom. For the past 22 years, the president said it. Tend away that fire business up in tanker business up in a Freetown way. Hundreds of, scores and scores and scores of people were scorched to death by a fireball. The president was here attending a program organized by the SLPP Pauper in London, the United Kingdom, in which the president was the guest in chief. And he make this statement there: who have I employed? Who have I taken me with? And imagine that. This is what he said. Not to me, they make this up. So he been try for pay tribute to Londoners. The one that were support him during his sojourn Naya, 22 years. So enough forget them. Take them in care and go. So those people have been fiercely loyal to him. So you see, there's nothing here that I am making up. Everything I've said here is backed, corroborated by evidence. So identity politics is rife. Within our identity politics, now then key position them within the field without due regard for requirement, for experience, or the prerequisite academic qualification. Instead, it is done by party affiliation and loyalty to the president. I repeat, because this is quite important, Famulem. This is just the reality, the dawn of a new day that we Sierra Leoneans they need to understand. And if we go get for change we country, push we country for go forward, make a difference, then we need to understand this, that in the perpetuation of identity politics, positions then were available will require people then with the prerequisite skills and experience. Not of them people they are and they give you jobs to. Instead, these jobs have been given on the basis of not on academic requirement, not as per experience, as the job requirement will call for, but rather on the basis of party affiliation, tribal sentiment, regional sentiment, and loyalty to the president. This is what it is. And the evidence is stark. It's stark. So you can't play this up against me. You might want to fire me, but please, I'm only the messenger of what the reality is. Please check what the reality is. And probably you will have some forgiveness in your heart for me for saying how it really is. You know, the government of Sierra Leone, for every Sierra Leonean, where you make them feel value and you include them inside a process, which is a good practice, this not happen anymore. Government of Sierra Leone, sorry. Government of Salone, not the past, not in the most recent past, but at least there is a little bit of a difference now, and the difference is gotten worse. There are many things that has gotten worse, and again, a point to facts. A point of fact, because of identity politics, where I don't define, where I don't give few examples, where I don't talk about application. the determinant factor for giving somebody a job. In other words, it's not based on meritocracy. It is based on identity politics, your affiliation with party, your regional tribal background, your connection to the powers that be, most likely the president and the wife. That's what we continue to see to this day. We know, say, if we make people feel value by using the process of meritocracy as deserved, as merited, and that's a best practice in Enkaintin there. But unfortunately, this is not the case. And one example, there are many examples. One critical example, where I go give two people in the mass sacking of people in a statistic. To a lot of people in we send me information, those within recognize the sackings and try to give them some kind of a benefit, which is not equivalent to within a loss. But just for justify, say at least some legitimate action was taken. And imagine the government, as we know the government, is taking those actions for sure, say there's some kind of a legitimacy. That speaks volume. Now let's take a look at the man heading the Ministry of Agriculture, who happened to be Dr. Abubakar Karim. Of course, he won't be sacked. Why? Again, remember, say we talk about identity politics. We talk about job requirements. We're not based on meritocracy, but on identity politics, tribe, region, affiliation with president, and wealth. Such is one man. So even though there is a disgrace, a scandal hanging over his head, which he try for backtrack from, which even make the case even more difficult, funny, and precarious, backtrack from him. And as you go forward, you left evidence. As you backtrack, you left evidence. But yet still, he's enjoying the confidence of the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Wow. Wow. He's still there. And as we speak again, we understand, say, there are issues around this man regarding land. Now, number two, I've got a lot of people owning land in that end, and other ends contacted me to talk. I don't just talk on lands, you're not having little bit of evidence because somebody just propped me up and then I jump up, what have you. No. But what you understand, in fact, the man has a right for acquire a piece of land as a Sierra Leonean, but through legal means, legit means. But if that means, then they have been questioned now. They say it is not a fair means that is used for acquiring land there. Then this land what they talk about now, number two, which of course is massive and building they take place there. That complaint has been made against him within the judicial services of the Republic. And he's been summoned but has refused to show up. Again, because he's a very powerful man. He's a successful farmer, as I understand him, own businesses and large kind of business in farming. Also has connection in Vietnam. When he came to Vietnam, and even the president in recent trip to Vietnam, I understand say he was very pivotal, very key in making that visit a success. We will believe say the president will sign deals then in behalf of the Sierra Leonean people and for the Sierra Leonean people. Hopefully, the people will benefit, and whatever comes from there will not be politically used, which is going to be difficult because maybe president sign up something for containers, shiploads of rice, which probably might arrive just before elections. There are probably people will be giving tons of rice free or at a reduced price. That's after 4 years. And you will be foolish enough to trying to say will be the game changer in going forward. John, I want to show one or two quick videos. We analyze them quickly, and then probably we try for bring this program to an end. I think we've done really, really, really well. let we see the next one we want for bring calm. Such is the delusion that we talk about.
We now generate sufficient electricity in Freetown.
Okay, Fambulem, this is another one. We can make something, me personally, for the presidency, and this is just my view. And read up, understand, research on how the presidency operates. Most times, the presidency can live in a bubble. Advisor them. Bad news. And advisors, they know this. So mostly with the advisors in the bring come, na good news in the bring come. So mostly the president can be in a cocoon, in a bubble of your own, yeah, in which it's all about falsity. Not of the president's own accord, but what he's just been told. And the video I showed just now is just one of it. Probably you didn't get it.
We now generate sufficient electricity in Freetown.
Which is, it come to a point because I don't study presidential speeches, the way they say I'm in body language, and this is just one of. It seemed like the president himself was stunned in between that reading that short part today. It could have been a long for pause. Now, because the president himself realized that waiting and right so it not seem for reflect with reality. Because I'm sure say the president somehow will have heard about the frequent blackout in domicile. The president is domicile in Freetown. And although in a day, but of course, not far away, the president can open him with the blind and look outside and see blackout day to people in a eastern, a western, or somewhere, even though they enjoy that. And many a times, I know I've held programs in which suddenly lights been just they go out. And when me guests they say that, of course, protagonists then will say, oh, this is a setup, just forget the president bad name. But it turned out indeed in the end, it was true that there were frequent blackouts, and we almost got to a point, if we did not, about 15 years ago, when we believe on generators. Kaba China, then call them them small, funny generator, then looking toys like. So it's the same thing. The president reached to this point and the president paused. It's like waiting. But then he began for go on, of course. He was already on the spot. So he began for continue for read the speech. Let's go to another quick video.
Action lights. One country, like what they make.
All right, Fambulem. Just a quick one. That was a rude awakening for the president of the republic, and this is why they try for say. So even though I not get forensic or hard evidence, but of course I can use this, but I go refer to this as circumstantial evidence based on what happened in real time. Another shocking and rude awakening for the president of the Republic of Sierra Leone, which shows that, in my opinion, advisor than just they go to the president and advise on all kind of thing. So the president, on the basis of what he's been advised, as we see in that short video before this one, The president again go meeting people, and this time I think na Corona they been speak for tell people and say, oh light day, oh water day, and it's like, oh, everything is glorified, everything is available. I mean, things are fine. You see how they mislead the president? But luckily for the people, valiant people of Kono, and that I can say again, there's been a seismic shift. There's been a cultural shift that no longer it is business as usual where people can be tricked or fooled. Can you imagine? These are the people in front of the president of the republic. Then they begin to shout the president down. Light no day, food no day. And the president was confounded. The president was shocked. I can just imagine. Pardon me. Imagine what they talk, family. The president was shocked. And right before, in real time, before in people, light no day, water no day. And remember, the thing will make us so shocked. The president no go say so had he known that there's no electricity. The president no go say so if the president may no say water no day. But it's on the same basis of their advisor then where they mislead the president and they tell them the truth. Say by electricity no enough, water no enough. So they set up the president for that humiliation. But until we not can look and so, you know, I mean, we're so lethargic, sorrowful, that the president was humiliated by his own people and somebody responsible. But here is the thing, another responsible president will definitely hold somebody responsible, or somebody will say, well, now because he know that he make vex they fire somebody. Because if you suffer that kind of humiliation, whose kind gratitude where you owe somebody will make you go appear to your people as some idiot, some fool. No insult to the president, and I'm not ascribing these words to him. I've got great respect for the office and I got respect for the man, but with reservations. But here it is the thing. Until the rude awakening, the people then begin for sing. And then they do quick consultation. Chinese whisper, shoo, 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 Mr. President. And then he realized what was being said in front of him. But you can see that moment of silence where he tried for process within people and they say, why will people be saying this? Why will the president in the first place tell people and say, light day? Well, light no day. Rude awakening, because that's what he was being told. Presidents normally live in a bubble. And then the president was smart enough for reverse that trend. It wasn't very successful because after listening to the Chinese whispers, it tried to do a battle cry, a rally cry. One country, one people. So there were few. Imagine the crowd. There should be a rousing repetition of the president in battle cry. But there wasn't. What in that imply is there was huge disappointment in that crowd. People and we just not agree with the president. This is what we supposed for the look for if we want to be better analysts them and you name it. But there were few people. And potentially I go even say maybe people who were planted in the crowd, because those crowds, there are always people who are planted within. And the idea that you could almost recognize or count the voices that were repeating what the president said, the real people were not responding, because normally you put people in the middle of the crowd when the president says something, for rouse the people. You say, yeah. Before you go, it's almost church-like, spiritual-like. Pastor says something, quote some kind of psalm, the drummer, knock the drum. Everybody is walked up to a frenzy. And then the response, and then you can cut that and show him. Very popular guy. The people love him. No, in this case, there was huge disappointment. And this is what we're trying to say. I'll play one last video, and then we come to a conclusion.
For do now. Now, for me, then go meet the MPs them, and I've said that before. Not to today, they can talk. I don't go tell that before. Una get to MPs them where they appoint. Where they elect. They are elected members of parliament. If you get Brookfields, you get the MP who cover Brookfields. You not Cherry Coco. Go meet them and tell us, say, Cherry Coco, we need action. Parliament now, where Cherry Coco will take the matter go to parliament now. Cherry Coco them go sit down now in a quorum, then write a letter demanding that the president take immediate action. Then get right for summon the president on a parliament and ask her the question, why you the delay? I am a private citizen. Now, the best thing they do so by giving you the evidence na social media. It is left with una the people alone and go meet una MP because me not a call for anything like civil disobedience for violate the laws of the land. But when I can go meet una MP, una demand. If everybody go meet in MP, all we MPs there, una demand, una put pressure to them, una write them official letter or open letter and newspapers them. Then go demand the president for appear in parliament. Then go ask the president wait till next thing. So vula. We get a fake degree. Even if he don't know, he ought to have known. He still occupied that position. Why not suspend certain ministers that we don't get this one? So me just they do. I don't hide the president of say I try for protector because by the end of the day, now if people then get for go ask 2023 elections. But wait till me now unless alone people look at this because if you try to say okay, love focus now on the president to get 5 years, automatically we don't put them through with a party lines.
Doctor.
As soon because if we say 2000, let's just make this last clarification.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if we say president to get okay, now 5 years, you get timeline. If you know they succeed now, so people let them go ask next year. As soon as we talk, the man was elected, and he still gets a support from the SNP. So as soon as we talk that say then timeline that the president in timeline, we already don't put her into politics. So when they can emphasize the timeline of Sierra Leone, now for let you know, say whether you are APC, NGC, SNPP, the failures of whatever or the decision of the president of act, it affects you. Every Sierra Leonean is being affected. And you as Sierra Leonean, when sit down at home, when they support them one with fake degree, your destiny is also being mortgaged. So now that they make a one, so we get a broader picture. No, forget what President Bio in 5 years. He's a politician. He can be voted in and be voted out by the people. But if we not get a national way of looking at this problem of fake degrees, it will fail. This movement will fail. And me no one give a particular. I start off with my family. And the first be get exposed. Before I go to ministers. Before I go inside parliament. And within the next 3 days, I go inside parliament and go inside state house back and pull all the cabinet minister name. So make we understand. This is not about President Bio in 5 year term.
Dr. Lahai, the only reason why we mention President Bio in 5 year term.
Not everybody that have PhD is a politician. Some PhD holder them full bad. But this man is not a PhD. But what he can know about TJC is the fact that he is a politician and a true politician. May I see PhD holders who come as a politician and they shoot themselves right from the beginning. From the moment they open their mouth, they shoot themselves. I remember when me and
Okay, Famulem, obviously they come to an end. I just played in 2 videos there because somehow they are kind of related. One from Dr. John Idris Lahai, the man we lift the lead on this fake degree business where I believe say Sierra Leoneans, them of good conscience, we should all have a consensus because fake is fake. There's no 2 ways to fake. And we have arrived at a culture of fake degrees in which some people in the try for autumn or say, well, not to now we begin. Well, we agree, say not to now we begin, but we talk about government officials the way they serve now that have been exposed. Why are they still enjoying the confidence of the president? I hear some people and they say, well, investigations will have to be held. But here is the president walking into the House of People, Parliament, on Independence Day, in which we go talk about all what we don't accomplish with shortcomings and etc. Pardon me. Flanked by people who are not supposed to be flanking him publicly. We are being humiliated. We are being a laughing stock. People and we get fake degree. Now, Dr. John Idris Lahai, now we hear so. Waiting in the attempt for do, which is simple, and now so I will end my program shortly. Now for character assassinator. And waiting I also try for do now for play the first lady in tape way he make a few years ago. Actually, this was an event that I attended. I went there as a journalist. I went to get a story and be part of the circle. I was ostracized, and there were friends who were in there. They pushed away from me, and this is the thing. It's like the whole thing was ominous. I mean, they celebrate the election, I believe, of the party chair now, where the first lady made the address, Mr. Tijansi. But anyway, that's not important now. That's long ago. But waiting this mean now, lately, some people are not beginning to use this for say, well, the first lady be don't talk this PhD business, yeah, me don't they exist then, and he may say this. No, I say no, and we need to stop this. Waiting the first lady be they speak to them is completely different from waiting at the reality today. The first lady was being how do I term them without using the wrong word? Now, something specific the first lady being to speak to them, and that was really a little bit more personal. Yeah, where the first president been, the first lady been to speak to. And at the time, we understand certain people, and whether or not the chief minister, who is a doctor, they were not getting along. First lady, no, and few people within the circle know. So she was praising Tijansi and using Tijansi as the setup guy in terms of a message where he speak to. This guy does not have a PhD, but this guy is solid. He get common sense in sabi politics. The one that was sabi PhD, and she was speaking to those serving in her husband's cabinet, most likely the chief minister. Some people they know insinuate. Now the people that we been speak to, they get PhD, but they're full bad. Could be Dr. Sandy, because there are a host of doctors we've been in at the government and even up to this date. And those doctors were good doctors in many sense that they acquired and doctorate them correctly, as opposed to this brand of new doctors we try for one equal themselves to those original doctors by acquiring fake degrees, paying up to $5,000 for them fake degrees there, which are designed, custom made for them. Very, very wrong. Fambulem, we come towards the end of the program. I'm not able to read. We're not get better guests than today, but the few that we did, I'm not able to read the comments that we want to make. But at least let's just acknowledge the names of people that we tune in. Lawrence Fox, Martha Bangura, and 18 others are watching. Koroma A.T. Sheku. Hello to everyone around the world. Hello, Sheku. How are you, sir? Yusuf Fofana. Hello, everyone. Hello, Yusuf. Hi, David Derrick. Watching from Freetown live. Thank you, David. Please share the video in Freetown. Beatrice Thompson. Beatrice. Moses Koge. Good evening, Mr. Moses. Thank you very much and good evening. Memuna Johnson, watching from Norway. Sister Memuna, how you do? I hope all is well. Keep the fire burning. Thanks for watching. Martha Bangura is watching. Mohammed Toure, greetings from the land down under, my brother Prince and listeners, viewers. Thank you so much, brother Mohammed Toure, and greetings to listeners and viewers. Ahmed Kabar, greetings, families. Greeting, Mr. Kabar. Emily Aka, good evening, Emily Aka. How you do? Hi to you, and thank you very much for tuning in. Victor Fode, hi, Victor Fode. Plutek Kayasi, Kamatan. Hi, Plutek. Very name, some name. Jalo Jamboria. Oh yeah, how are you, sir? I think watching all the way from Sweden. Ibrahim Samora is watching. Hi, Ibrahim Samora. Masumbo Limba. Hi, Masumbo, watching live from Makeni. Wow. Good evening, Makeni. Thanks, Masumbo, for watching. Please greet the people of Makeni. Thank you so much. Mahmoud Tolly watching. Hi, Mahmoud. Good evening. Paul Fona is watching. Hi, Mr. Fona. George Washington is watching. Hi, Mr. Washington. Mohammed Kamara is watching. Hi, Mr. Kamara. Idiot Santiago Mabela. I don't know what about Boy Jalo Binyanda. This is problems in our country. Absolutely, that's from MJ. Emily Aka, it is a very low level of thinking and sabotage information to always create problems. Bashiru Lucky Son Mustafa Fefewa is watching. Hi Bashiru Lucky Son Mustafa Fefewa. What a name. I love that. Abubakar Kamara watching. Thank you, Mr. Kamara. Good evening. Jonathan Amara watching. Good evening, Mr. Amara. Mabinti Kroma watching. Good evening, Mabinti. Crispin George. Hi, Crispin. How you do? I hope all is well. Musa Conte. Hi, Mr. Conte. Ronald Abu Bangura. Hi, Mr. Sheikh Akanu is watching. Thank you. This statement made by the First Lady about fuel shortage is a recipe to tribal sentiment expressed, Mr. Derrick. Khalil Daklala. Hi, Mr. Daklala. I've spoken to you before. You need to advertise on the platform, Mr. Daklala. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you for watching. Ibrahim Ansari. Thank you, Mr. Mansari. Usman Conte is watching. Khalil M. Samura watching. Thank you, Khalil. Kabbalah City is without no water, no electricity. So that's somebody watching from Kabbalah, Kali M. Samura, and there's no water, no electricity. Thank you, Mr. Samura, for bringing this to our attention. Sam Bobo Leon is watching. Kali M. Samura, all the way from Kabbalah City. Okay, it's the same guy who talk about no water, no electricity. Thank you so much. At least we recognize a few people. So make a round up the program now. It's been a great program so far. Okay, it's been a great program so far. So we don't talk a lot. So now we talk about the use of irrelevant criteria quickly, although I touch on them. But there's this use of irrelevant criteria for hire and promote people them where they at an all-time high, because this is seem like now the criteria where they use. It's not based on meritocracy, it's based on Uda Sabi Uda, and especially if you affiliate with the current regime, the president, the first lady, or that inner circle. They don't lower that criteria the way they use for hire people. It they at an all-time high, it's been lowered. So you don't need for wonder why every government official now want to acquire some kind of a doctorate. The era of fake education as exposed by Dr. John Lahai is here. Is here. I just played the tapes for you. Fambulem, when you support the truth, like I do, that's what I do. I support the truth. I may have some biases. Some of them might be inherent. But like every one of us do, mine, I don't believe is intentional. Let's be really honest. But like Montaman, let me say, we might all be having this with inherent biases. But I believe largely that I speak the truth because above everything else, within the Pantap me aid, now me country. No party business. I've said this over and over. I'm not beholden to any party. I make why they talk. I just the talk. And this is not the difference again with me and some people. I'm critical of everybody and everything. Some people are critical of some and not the other, even though we all get with blemishes. Now imagine that. I support Dr. John Lahai for exposing fake degree error. Some people want for let we look into the motives of Dr. John Lahai, which is a good thing. And I partly do my investigation and understand because Dr. John Lahai, now inside dinner day, he come out. But what's wrong with that? So we want for use the findings who we go get, because most of us already know this, that it come up from the inside. We've had interviews of the man where he say Francis Ben Kaifala is a brother and a friend. A brother and a friend, that's quite a strong description of a relationship between two fellas. And then one for go ask again, we know it come out inside. We know something could have gone awfully wrong. But anyway, you can get your opinion on that. What I'm interested in is to expose the chief of police, IG Sovula, fake degree. He say give him up. It compromise the intelligence and integrity of the chief of media, Brahma Kamara, aka Obre. We don't appear on this platform, I think, once or twice. For go say, well, he give up the thing and what have you. But 4-5 months later, because he been so desperate for him, he go acquire another one at AGU, African Graduate University, which is equally illegal because there is no accreditation for this other university. You can't be big fool more than that, and you're the chief of police of a country. Imagine. Time where we try for expose them basic truth there and try for support people then like Dr. Lahai. All they do, when I say them, this minority, they become vicious. The hatredness has become visceral to a point where they not only they attack me, which they've been doing for years, but I can handle it because I've developed a thick skin and understand what I'm doing. I've been called all kind of names. Now they involve me family, my wife, me picking them. But some of them have been dealt a blow. Some of them have been silenced because you can only do what you're doing without observing the basic rules of media by being somewhere else, maybe Freetown. Then you can use back talk, go butt cutting tree or go police where nothing will happen. But as long as you are here, if you violate the rules, we will open a file on you and there will be an investigation that will be held. And if you are guilty, then of course, actions demanding the kind of crime where you commit will be thrown at you. If not criminal record, you will. And that's the thing that we've pursued. And that's what we'll continue to pursue. We are interested in a conversation, in a decent conversation, decent one, where we can disagree for agree. So for character assassinate has become their trademark, for smear, threaten, and sometimes an attempt on physical violence and assault. I've never said this before, but I have been a victim of that, simply of what I do on the platform, what I say, how I say, what I say. And once or twice I've made reports at the police, but then had to withdraw because of community conversations. But it seems like it won't go away. So we've opened a file again, and never again will this happen. And if it does happen, but of course, charges will be brought against those who violate the generosity of the country that we live in. Simple. You don't have to become agitated, or even if you become agitated, you lose your cool and become violent. They're not able to explain the virtues of their actions because it's so immoral. And when you challenge them, they go berserk. They go wild. They begin to use all terms of unconventional means for discredit. They don't call me names, like I say. And up to this day, they do. Some have become really comical on media. They call me a foreigner. They call me Liberian. They call me a Liberian. Some of them believe that strongly. Some of them are making a fool out of themselves because they started off believing it, but they've come to learn from others because we are all kind of connected. And I know people who they are connected with who know my roots. We don't tell them, no, you got it wrong. Some man don't back off. Some people they still hold on to that. So yes, that's what they call me, but that's fine. And I make a mockery out of most of them because the reason why they say that, imagine. It's like, well, if I'm a Liberian, I'm not supposed to put more on salon business. They fail for realizing a press business now they do. And I'm talking about news and news that are newsworthy. So assuming I was even a Liberian, the question why I asked them, some of them, the America, the UK, the other places, Netherlands and etc., Australia. So you are in the United States. The cable news network, CNN, and other cable channels, be it Fox, MSNBC, ABC, and you name it, a host of media out there. Are you saying that they should only talk about American-related issues because they are only American channels and based in America, they could have networks, extensions in other places, but the idea they are basically an American outfit. So they are not permitted to talk about any other. I live in the UK, the BBC, Sky News, and you name it, a host of other channels, Channel One, and you name it. Are they not supposed to talk about other issues? What is news? What does it entail? So you see, that's how phony these people's arguments are. You want to label me a foreigner and say the basis on which you want to call me a foreigner now because they talk about you issue, and I'm not supposed to because I'm a foreigner. But I ask you, who's you day? If you tell me in Australia, you did in England, you did in Netherlands, you did Chabela. So they won't talk about other people's issue. What's the news about? That's how much fun I make out of them. And sometimes I derive a thrill out of it. So they become agitated and become violent. They call me names. They say I'm a foreigner in my own land of birth. We've made them comical. As those who know the truth, then quietly they laugh at their ignorance. They go Orwellian by calling me unpatriotic, which of course their line of action says they are. It's quite the opposite. That's why I call it Orwellian. I'm patriotic because I call things by their names. I'm critical of everything, everybody, as deserved. They are one-sided. Question to them is it unpatriotic to question your government? Who bears the right to talk about the wrongs and the rights of a society? Is it not a constitutional civic duty for us to have these discussions and be critical about our government unbiasedly? Is it not? It is obvious that they are not interested in the truth. No, they're not interested in the truth at all. All waiting and they try for do now for silence people like we. And I repeat, all Sierra Leoneans get a constitutional right for talk about their country. Waiting we they do now for bring critical information to we people. We people and we most definitely then they in the majority, not for people in the minority, where they make boku noise for make law we feel like say they are in the many. No, we are not idiots, we are not fools. We know who the majority is. But what we try for do both you, the minority, and the majority, we they try for bring this news to una. Regardless of how much una huff and puff, you still the minority. Don't make boku noise, they change the dynamics for say you are the many and the others are the few. And then that huffing and puffing for try for drown we voice them. So una no go yeri. It's bearing zero effect. And by now most of una will not know that because una try for shut we down, una use all kind of unconventional means, una been rude to us and violent to us, but we are still talking and we go continue for talk. Waiting we cannot do constitutionally and as a civic responsibility now for support lies. And the opposite is true. What waiting we need for do constitutionally and responsibly, now for continue for talk the truth. Propaganda can work for a while. Disinformation and misinformation can work for a while. But the thing we're wrong about all of this is now for continue for use them at the expense, in peril of your country. Be patriotic today. Be a real Sierra Leonean today. Say it as it's supposed to be. Be patriotic. Do not tell lies, propagate propaganda, misinformation, disinformation at the peril and expense of your country. You will come and pass, just like many others before me and you. The country will remain and life will go on. Our kids will come to bear theirs, and therefore life continues and the nation continues. Ask yourself, now whose country where you want for the future? You go and picking them, and you picking them. On this basis, Fambulem, just before I left, and not forget the 24th, we will be having Mr. Abdul Fatoma, a non-governmental organization person with the head an NGO called CHDRI. I hope I get that right. He will be here on the 24th. And there are so many things for that we talk about regarding human rights and what's going on in our country. Not very, very political, just on the basis of human rights. So what NGOs are and their responsibility and what's going on. For the TNN TV media empire, I've been your host and presenter, Prince Emil Kroma. Till we catch up again, please don't forget, follow this page, like this page. Don't be, I will save that, but please like this page or follow this page. For those of you watching on YouTube, please also subscribe to our page. It's important that you do. I find it shocking that we get thousands of people, they watch we, and we still get less than 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. Be a subscriber today and spread the good word. After all, the thing will unite us all, despite with differences. We are all Sierra Leoneans. One people, one country. Thank you so much. Good night.